G'day viewers, welcome to this bit of an irregular PB's Retro Restorations video. As some of you might have noticed on my Facebook page, I posted that I bought myself a Resin 3D printer. Quite a response to that. Lots of people ask me about it, excited to see if I was making a video talking about it, which I am. I am doing a car, but I thought I'd do a separate video just to talk about my experiences with it, what I've come up against, and how I might be able to save you some grief when you're starting out. I'm no expert, I'm a complete beginner to this. I've had multiple failures and I'm not sure that I've still had too many successes yet, but I'll show you a couple of the things that I've printed out. There's no model build this video, but I will be doing one. So I'll show you the process, what I went through. I want to, I was so keen to get into it, I just ripped into it and had quite a few failures, but anyway, and I'm not professing to be an expert on it by any means, but I'll show you my setup and what I got out of it. So after a few failures, I watched a couple of videos on YouTube. One of them put me onto this program, which makes it easy to manipulate the files and make them work. Now you get this file and the pink parts are what don't fit on my base plate, so we're going to have to rotate it, and this program has a button that just lets you click it and fit to build plate, so it's dropped it right back down so it'll all fit in. Now if I try and print that just like it is, it will fail. I did that the first couple of times and got nothing on my build plate. So what we need to do is, and this program makes it easy, is put it on some supports. So we lift it up a little bit, click the platform, it'll put a base and little spikes that the body rests on to help assist the 3D printing process. It's impossible for me to articulate the finer points of using this program. I owe all the successes I've had to this fella's video. I'll post a link at the end so you can go and check it out. Full credit to him. Without watching that video, I'm not sure I'd be having any success. So please go and watch it and give him a thumbs up and a like and all that stuff. Now, once you've finished editing and getting it, you've got to slice it into a format that suits your printer. Again, this program makes it easy. You can go little test run, which is what's happening here. I've sped this up a bit. And it shows you each layer as it's going up through the 500, 600 odd layers. So you can see if there's any points where it might fail and where you might need to do some fiddling and manipulation, but I need to learn a lot more about using this program, but it's got me a lot further than I had off my own bat. So the next step is to save it onto a USB and go and print it out. So take the UV resistant lid off first. Make sure you do this in a well ventilated area. Make sure you use all the proper safety gear, viewers. I cannot stress that enough. Use rubber gloves. I've only got one on here because I'm not touching everything. When I bought this unit, I was given 2 bottles of this stuff and I've hardly used any of the first bottle. It's going to last forever. UV resin, obviously because it cures under UV light. Michael down at Gravesend, he knows all about this stuff. So I'm just tipping it in. That little vat holds a fair bit and it's got graduations on it so you can see how much you're tipping in. And when you design your file on that program, it'll actually tell you how many mils of resin it's going to use to successfully print. So next step, I'm putting the build plate on. You really want to make sure it's nice and dry, because if you've got any cleaning agents on it, your 3D print isn't going to stick to it. So put it on there, tighten the nut up, just like that. I move all my crap out of the way because I'm so well organized. And then I put the lid back on. Helps stop the fumes and everything else. I'll get my USB stick that we've saved that Monaro file onto, stick it in the side and kick her in the guts, Barry. Bing, bling. Alright, now it's as simple as going print, selecting the file and pushing play to print. Now it'll tell you how long it thinks it's going to go for. When you use that program, it'll say, oh, this is going to take 2 hours to print, but my experience has been that it will take at least half an hour longer than it says. So if it says 2 hours on the computer, when I stick it into the printer, it'll often say, oh, it's 2.5 hours. So it goes up and down, prints one layer, UV cures it, pulls it up off the base, proceeds to the next one. Now this Monaro has about 650 layers. That's why it takes 2.5 hours to print out. But when it's done, I'll get my other machine here, which is a wash and cure set. I should probably mention at this stage, the printer and the wash and cure delivered to me with free postage was 428 Australian dollars with the 2 included bottles of resin. It came with everything I needed, well, except for the bottle of isopropyl alcohol that I've got in that bucket. Because what we're doing now is washing it. And this machine has a magnet in the bottom that it connects to a blade in the bottom of that bucket. And I'm going to set it for 10 minutes of wash time because I've got nothing better to do. I'm going to go watch the telly or have 6 cans. Put the lid on. It's got 2 settings on here. When you first switch it on, it's set to wash. Twist the dial to, you can set it for, infinity hours if that's what you want to. And most people recommend like a 6-minute wash time and even a 6-minute cure time. But if you've got nothing else to do, a little bit longer doesn't hurt. So I set it to 10 minutes. Let it go. I put that lid back over the other one just to stop the fumes from killing me. I'll leave it and I'll come back. Alright, so 10 minutes or 6 cans later, whichever you prefer, it's all done washing. Now I'll put gloves on. I'll just take the lid off without gloves and fish it out and let a little bit of the excess isopropyl wash off it. Now I know you can get some resins that are water washable. I'll have to look into those because the isopropyl does get a bit woofy. Always use a breathing mask when you're handling the resin, when you're handling the isopropyl. It's good practice. Now here's me pretending to lift this off the build plate because I sleeved it off and then I realised I wasn't filming it, but it actually puts up a little bit more of a fight. But gently levering it off, it'll come off. Now the same wash and cure machine obviously comes with this little machine and a reflective plate in the bottom. Stick the Monaro body on there, line it up, put the lid on. Now again, they say 6-10 minutes, but I had nothing else to do. I was going to go to bed, so I set it to 25 minutes just to make sure. Of course, you can leave it out in the sun if you've got the sun because it's UV rays, it's all the same thing. There we go. Don't stare at the lights. You probably shouldn't stare at them, all jokes aside, but we'll leave it on there for 25 minutes and we will come back when it is done. Oh look, it's nearly done. It's the magic of something, viewers, video, editing, whatever. Anyway, it's done. We'll lift the lid and we'll check it out. Yep, yeah, no, it came off. I'll give you a little bit of a look here, but I will give you a closer look at it in a minute. Now, as you can see, it's still got a bit of that, like almost a wood grain effect to it. But I have to say on this larger one, it's far less pronounced than it is on the smaller ones. I did some 1/64th prints of this same file. It's the beauty of it. Once you've bought the file, it's yours. You can make it big, small, whatever you want to do with it. So here's one of the 1/64th scale ones I did with those little spikes in the base plate or the platform that it was built on. Now most of these will just snap off. You break it off. When I did this with the large scale one, it came off much easier. But anyway, the small one, some of the more experienced 3D printer people watching this probably cringing right now. So there's probably better methods, but I got the scissors out and snapped it all off. So being pretty much a naked body, if you will, there's nowhere to clip my little painting clips on, so just a bit of blue tack and I'll just stick the clip into it. It's very light, of course, and I'll slap some primer on it, and hopefully that'll show up a little bit more of the graining effect on it, that I presume I'll be able to sand most of it off. And voila! In primer. Now, can you see that wood graining effect all over it from the different layers? You see what I mean by the big body I printed is far less pronounced than that. This was the first one I printed. Now, at first look, you know, it looks pretty good, but the file came in several different thicknesses, and when we're talking about thicknesses, we're talking about the difference between 0.4 of a millimeter and 1.1 millimeters. This was printed at 0.4 of a millimeter, which I think is 4 microns. Don't quote me on it. But this body is so wafer thin. It's like, it's literally, I don't think you could use it, maybe for a diorama or something. But I was glad to get a body out to prove that I was on my way to getting it right. Okay, so I upped the thickness of the model to 1 millimeter, and this is the result I got. The lower rear quarters aren't right, and a curious thing on that is, which I'll show you in a minute, is even when I upscaled it and used the same methods, I still got the same result on that quarter. Like, it still doesn't take shape properly. I'm not sure why that is. It's not the file. It's something I'm doing. So if you've got any tips for me, you know, what have you, I'd much appreciate it. Now, this is the same body, same thickness, but this has been primered. Give you a better look at the details on it. It's a really nice file, but again, those rear, I'm gonna have to fill in those rear quarters a little bit just to smooth it out. And again, it's bent that bumper up a bit. It's going to be a bugger to paint too, because it's all one piece. You don't have separate bumpers and everything, but I will give that a go. Okay, so I decided to see how big I could go on the build plate with the next one. Again, the 1 millimeter thickness in the body, but this is how big. That's about 1/43, you know, like tracks size. The other problem with this file is it doesn't have a base or interior, so I probably should have bought one that did, because that means I'm going to have to make one, fill in the windows with some black sheeting or something, maybe not have an interior. But I just wanted to see that it could be done, and I think I've achieved that. You'll notice on the quarters on this one, it's got the same problem as the little ones do in the exact same spot, so, but the bumper isn't bent, so yeah, I don't know. As I said, if you've got a tip for me, viewers, I'm all ears. So yes, it looks like I've carved it out of wood, but here's a little mock-up I did, just rested it on the rims, they're not fixed in there. And I tell you what, it looks good. I think if I can get those wood grain things out, get it smooth, we're onto a winner here. When it's fine-tuned, it's going to be fantastic. So thanks for dropping in to watch this little video on my 3D printing experience. I really appreciate it. Make sure you go and check this link that's appeared on your screen. This bloke's video really helped me. He runs through the lot. He can so much more to teach you than I could ever hope to. So make sure you go and check it out. Don't forget, because this is a bonus video, I will have another video next Friday. Not a 3D printing one, but a little Studebaker I've been working on for a while. It doesn't really work, but it should be a bit of fun if nothing else. Stay safe, have a great weekend, viewers, and I'll see you next time. Bye. You're welcome.